Hey, what's up, everyone? Today, I've got some disturbing Reddit stories that made my heart stop, that genuinely kept me up at night. Subscribe for more, and let's get started. My 26 female Lyft driver has picked me up 11 times in the past month, and I don't think it's a coincidence anymore. This one comes from r/Let's Not Meet, posted 3 days ago by Quiet Ride Home. Now, the title alone is probably already making you uncomfortable. But the way she pieces this together, the slow realization she walks you through, that is what makes this one stick with you. She opens it up real casual, just painting the picture of her daily routine. Nothing alarming yet. So, for context, I'm 26 female, no car, mid-sized city, and Lyft is basically my entire transportation situation. Work, gym, groceries, going out, all of it. I take maybe 4 or 5 rides a week, sometimes more, and I'm not someone who chats up their driver. I get in, say hi, headphones in, zone out until we get there. I honestly could not tell you what any of my drivers looked like on any given day. That was just normal for me. So last Thursday, I'm leaving the gym around 9 p.m. Late session because work ran over. I get in my Lyft and the driver, this guy probably mid-30s, turns around and goes, "Back again," with this little laugh. I laughed too. Figured he'd driven me once before and just had a good memory. Didn't really think about it past that. But something about it sat weird with me. He was too familiar, too comfortable. I got home, couldn't sleep, and for some reason I pulled up my ride history and started scrolling. My stomach dropped. Same driver. 11 times in 1 month. My morning rides to work. Friday night rides to my friend's apartment across town. A ride to my doctor that I booked last minute on a random Wednesday afternoon. All different times of day. All different pickup locations. And then I saw it. He'd left me a note with my rating. "Always a pleasure seeing you again. Keep safe out there at night." I sat there staring at my phone, realizing this man knows everywhere I go. 11 rides. Her gym. Her morning commute. Her doctor. A friend's apartment across town. All mapped out in one stranger's ride history under the same name. And that rating he left her? That is what turns this from unsettling to terrifying. Because it means he is not just showing up, he is aware of every single trip. She is only just now catching on. This story is far from over. Now, OP is not the type to just sit with a bad feeling and hope it goes away. After what she found in her ride history, she went full detective mode. And honestly, what she does next is exactly what I would have done. She tries to prove herself wrong. I spent that next morning cross-referencing my calendar with my Lyft history. 7 a.m. Monday to the office. 10 p.m. Thursday from Kara's across town. A Saturday grocery run. A last-minute doctor's appointment on a random Wednesday. Zero pattern on my end. Different days, times, neighborhoods. One constant, him. So I tested it. Tuesday, 2 p.m., I walked to a coffee shop I had never been to. Different part of the city. Requested a ride and watched the screen. 4 minutes later, his name popped up. Same photo, same car. I canceled so fast I almost dropped my phone. I told my coworker Jess, and she said it was probably the algorithm. Maybe we were in the same zone. I wanted to believe that. But then I thought about the smaller things. He always pulled right up to my building without me pointing it out. One morning, he told me I looked tired, and the only place I mentioned being up late was my private Instagram story. My private story. After that, I stopped riding alone. If I had to go somewhere, I made sure someone was with me, and I stopped getting dropped at my actual address. I started picking a spot 2 blocks away and walking the rest, looking over my shoulder the whole way. Think about that for a second. She is rearranging her entire life around a man she never asked to know her name, choosing to walk home alone in the dark because somehow that feels safer than getting dropped off by the person who is supposed to get her home safe. And the private Instagram detail, that is not a coincidence. That is surveillance. This stopped being about rides a long time ago. What comes next is going to confirm the worst version of what she is already afraid of. And Lyft's response is going to make it even worse. So she does what anyone would do. She goes straight to the company. I contacted Lyft support 3 separate times. The first two, I got the same copy-paste response about how they take rider safety seriously and that I should use the block feature. I had already blocked him. That was the first thing I did after ride number 9, but he kept showing up. I asked point blank, can a driver see my ride request before accepting it? Can they choose specific passengers? They dodged. Every single time. Just, we'll look into this and follow up. They never followed up. My friend Jess's boyfriend Marcus works in software engineering, and when I showed him everything, he went quiet for a long time. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. He said drivers can't normally cherry-pick riders. The system doesn't work that way. Which means this guy is either spoofing his GPS location to sit in my radius, running multiple driver accounts, or found some kind of exploit in the matching system. This isn't just some guy who happens to be nearby. This is someone who figured out how to guarantee he's my driver. I haven't slept through the night in over a week. I check my locks 3 times before bed. I keep thinking about all the rides where I was just sitting in his back seat scrolling my phone while he was memorizing my entire life. I want to go to the police, but I feel stupid. What would I even say? A man drove me places and was polite about it? I know how that sounds. That last line sat heavy in the comments, because everyone could feel the gap between what happened and what she could actually prove. I used to drive for Lyft, and I can tell you drivers can set their pickup zone to a very narrow radius. If he knows your general area, he could just sit in your neighborhood with the app on and wait for your request to pop. It's terrifyingly easy. That's exactly what I was afraid of. The first few times, I assumed it was just a small market thing. But after the 8th or 9th time, I started requesting from my friend's place across town, and he still showed up within 6 minutes. He had to have been already nearby. I feel sick thinking about how long this was normal to me before I started counting. The fact that he left a review referencing your safety at night is genuinely one of the most skin-crawling things I've ever read on here. He wanted you to know he's watching. And that is where this leaves off. She knows it is engineered. She knows he is not just lucky, and she still does not feel like she has enough to bring to anyone who can actually stop him. A few days go by. Then OP comes back with an update post. And this is where it stops feeling like a creepy coincidence and starts feeling like something much worse. He tried my door code on camera, and Lyft won't tell me his full name. So I took your advice. I went to my building manager and asked him to pull the security camera footage from the past few weeks. His car. Same make, same color, same plates I screenshotted from the app. Was parked across the street from my building on 5 separate nights I never requested a ride. Engine off, just sitting there. Some nights for over 2 hours. But the footage from last Tuesday is what broke me. Time-stamped 2:40 a.m. He gets out of the car, walks up to my building entrance, and starts punching in door codes. 3 wrong attempts. Then he just stands there, turns around, walks back to his car, drives away. I watched this in the building manager's office, and I felt like the ground dropped out from under me. I filed the police report that night and gave them everything. The ride history, the screenshots, the footage. Then I called Lyft again because I need his full legal name for the report. They will not give it to me. They said they would cooperate with law enforcement if contacted directly, but they will not tell me, the person he has been stalking, who he actually is. 3 wrong attempts on a door code. That detail sat with me, because that means he watched someone punch it in and was trying to do it from memory. This was never just driving by. This was calculated. Document everything now. Screenshots of every ride, the review he left, timestamps. If this escalates, you want a paper trail that predates any incident. Some states let you file for a protective order based on a pattern like this, even without direct threats, seconding this hard. And OP, if Lyft won't give you his full legal name for the police report, your attorney can subpoena it. Do not let the platform become his shield. Please tell me you have stopped using Lyft entirely. He may have access to your saved addresses, payment area, frequent pickup zones. All of that is visible on the driver's side depending on the app version. OP came back with one final update post. He tried my door code on camera, and Lyft won't tell me his full name. So after I sent Lyft the police report number and the security footage screenshots, they finally deactivated his account. That part felt like a win for about 5 minutes. Then the police response brought me right back down to earth. He never entered the building, never made a direct threat, was technically parked on a public street every single time. They issued him a warning and told me there is not enough for a restraining order or criminal charges yet. A warning. That is what 11 rides and 5 nights outside my apartment and a man trying my door code at 2 in the morning gets you. I moved in with my sister the next day, changed my phone number, deleted the app, and switched to a completely different rideshare service. I have been varying my schedule, taking different routes, leaving at different times, trying to rebuild some version of a normal routine. And honestly, I was starting to feel like maybe I could get there. Then, 2 nights ago, I looked out my sister's window and there was a car parked down the block. Same make, same model, same color. I could not read the plate from the window. I do not know if it is him. I do not know if I am being paranoid or if this is just what my life looks like now. And that is the thing about this story that will not leave me alone. The tool that is supposed to get you home safe became the exact thing someone used to decode her entire life. Think about what you hand a rideshare driver without even realizing it. Your gym, your office, your doctor, your friend's place across town at midnight. Every single ride is a data point, and the algorithm just fills in the rest. You do not need to hack someone's phone when they are voluntarily telling you where they sleep every night. The comments on this one were sharp. 11 times from different locations at different times of day? That's not the algorithm. That man is either manipulating his availability zone to match yours, or he's literally tracking your requests somehow. Either way, that's premeditated. If this one sat with you the way it sat with me, stick around, because the next story might be worse. Everyone in my town started calling me by a name I've never heard before, and they insist they've always known me as that person. This one was posted to r/nosleep 3 days ago by Quiet Road Home. Right from the very first line, something feels wrong. OP is a 26 female living alone in a small town in rural Oregon. One of those places where everybody knows your name, except one morning, they know a completely different one. Here's how she describes it. I've lived in this town my whole life. Same coffee shop, same 2-lane road to work, same faces every single day. Tuesday morning started like any other. I clocked in at the front desk, dropped my bag, and my coworker, Sheila, smiled at me and said, "Morning, Elaine." I laughed. I thought she was messing with me. I said, "Very funny," and she just stared at me with this look like I was the one being weird. I told her my actual name, and she got this worried crease between her eyes and asked if I was feeling okay. I let it go. Then my landlord called about the water heater and opened with, "Hey, Elaine." Then my mother, my own mother, called me Elaine on the phone, and when I corrected her, she went quiet for a long time and asked if I needed to come home for a while. I was shaking. I dug my driver's license out of my wallet and stared at it. My name, my real, legal name printed right there. I marched back to Sheila and held the card up to her face. She squinted at it and read it out loud. Elaine Morrow. See? That's what I said. But that is not what the card says. I am looking at my own name. She is looking at the exact same card, the exact same printed letters, and she is seeing something completely different. Same ink, same text, 2 different names depending on who is looking. Nobody is lying to her. Nobody is playing a trick. Every person she knows is looking at the same printed letters on the same plastic card and reading a name she has never carried. This is not a paperwork error or a bad joke. Something fundamental is broken in the way other people perceive who she is, and she has absolutely no idea why. This one gets under your skin. So OP does not take this lying down. She spent the next 2 days running every test she could think of to prove her name is her name. And this is the stretch where the story shifts from unsettling to genuinely disorienting. I spent the next morning trying to prove I'm me. Pulled up my Facebook, my name, my real name, right there at the top of the page. I screenshot it and sent it to Darla. She texted back, "Yeah, it says Elaine Morrow. Are you okay?" I am looking at the same screenshot and it says my actual legal name. Same image, 2 completely different names depending on who is looking at it. I drove 40 minutes to the next town over, walked into a gas station I have never set foot in, handed my license to the clerk and asked her to read the name out loud. She looked at it, looked at me, said Elaine Morrow. I almost lost it in the parking lot. That night, I started recording every single conversation on my phone. My neighbor stopped by and called me Elaine 3 times in 5 minutes. I played the recording back as soon as she left. On the recording, she says my real name, all 3 times, crystal clear. But I was standing right there and I heard Elaine come out of her mouth. The recordings hear one thing, I hear another. And here is what kills me. Nobody is being cruel. My mom called that night, her voice cracking, asking if I was feeling okay, if maybe I should talk to someone. She was not mad. She was scared for me. Everyone in this town loves me. They all know my face. They just do not know who I am. I am surrounded by people who care deeply about Elaine Morrow, and I have never felt more alone in my entire life. That recording detail is what separates this from a standard gaslighting story. The evidence is on OP's side. Her phone, her documents, her screenshots, they all show her real name. But the second another human being looks at any of it, something changes. Whatever is happening lives in the gap between OP and every other person on the planet. And the way she describes that loneliness at the end, being loved by everyone around you but not as yourself, that is a specific kind of dread that does not require a monster or a threat, just the slow erosion of something you thought was permanent. And OP is nowhere near done searching for answers. So at this point, OP has tried everything rational. Recordings, screenshots, driving to the next town. None of it cracked whatever this is. Now she's doing something that feels a lot more dangerous. She's chasing the name itself. I spent all of day 3 trying to find out who Elaine Morrow is, or was. I searched every social media platform, every People Finder site, every public records database I could access. Nothing. No Elaine Morrow connected to this town or anywhere near it. I asked Mrs. Phelps at the post office if she knew the Morrow family. She just smiled and said, "Well, that's you, honey." I went to the library and pulled old yearbooks, census records, newspaper archives. Nothing. No Morrows anywhere. It is like the name did not exist until it attached itself to me. By day 4, I was slipping. Someone at work called out, "Elaine!" and I turned around before I caught myself. I stood in my bathroom that night, staring at my reflection, and I could not remember my name. I had to say it out loud 3 times before it felt like mine again. Then I noticed the scar, a thin white line on my left wrist, maybe 2 inches long. I have never had a scar there. I pulled up photos on my phone from last month, and my hair is parted on the wrong side in every single one. I do not part my hair on the left. I never have. Something is changing, and it is not just what people call me anymore. Tomorrow, I am going to the old cemetery at the edge of town. A woman at the diner told me the Morrow family used to have plots out there. I need to know if this name belongs to someone real. The comment section was already spiraling by the time she posted this. This is going to sound insane, but have you checked if someone with that name actually exists or existed in your town? Like census records, old yearbooks, anything? I went to the library today and pulled the local newspaper archives. There was a girl with that name. She lived on my street, not my house, but 2 doors down. She died in 1998. She was 8. I am shaking typing this because the birthday listed in her obituary is the same month and day as mine. OP, please tell me you have someone outside this town who still calls you by your real name. Anyone. A friend from college, an ex, literally anyone who does not live there. That last comment hit different. Because based on everything OP has described so far, the answer might be no. OP came back with an update post, and this is where the story crosses a line it cannot come back from. I found a grave with that name on it, and the death date is in 3 days. I drove out to the cemetery around dusk. I don't know why I waited until the light was dying, but it felt like the only time that made sense. The place is old, mossy stones, iron fence half collapsed in the back. I walked every row. Most of the names were faded, unreadable. Then, near the back fence, I found it. Elaine Morrow. The birth year was 1999, my birth year. The death date was 3 days from now. I stood there and my legs just stopped working. I could hear wind moving through the grass and nothing else. I took a photo. When I looked at the photo on my phone, the headstone said my real name, my actual legal name. But I had just been staring at the stone with my own eyes and it said Elaine. I drove home without turning the radio on. I didn't know what to do with any of it. That night I was brushing my teeth and I looked up at the mirror and my reflection mouthed something a half second before I did. I froze. It kept going. Its lips moved and then mine followed. I have not looked in a mirror since. The comment section had a lot to say after this one. The fact that your mom did it too is what breaks me. Strangers, sure. Coworkers, maybe. But your own mother? That's a different level of wrong. What gets me is the mom didn't even hesitate. She didn't slip up and use the wrong name once. She apparently has always called her that. Which means either OP's memory is wrong or everyone else's reality shifted at the exact same time. Neither option is okay. Have you tried recording someone saying the name and playing it back to yourself? I need to know if it sounds different on a recording than it does in person. And that question lands different now, because we already know the answer. Recordings show one reality. Her eyes show another. Even carved stone splits depending on how she looks at it. Then Quiet Road Home posted one last time. It was the night before the date carved into that headstone. I tried to leave. I need you all to know that. I packed a bag, got in the car, and drove. But every road out of town brought me back to Main Street. I tried 4 different routes. Highway 38 curved right back into Maine. The logging road past the reservoir looped into Maine. I drove for an hour on a road I have taken 100 times and ended up parked in front of the diner like I had never left. I sat there with the engine running and my hands shaking, and I just started laughing, because what else can you do? I am so tired. I have been fighting this for days, and I do not know what I am fighting anymore. Maybe I am Elaine. Maybe I have always been Elaine, and the person I thought I was is the one who never existed. I keep saying my name out loud, but it sounds wrong now. You know when you repeat a word over and over until it stops meaning anything? Just sounds, just mouth noise. My name is... The post cut off right there. No sign off, no goodbye. Quiet Road Home's account went completely dark after that. 2 weeks passed with nothing. I live about 40 minutes from where OP described. After she stopped posting, I drove through and asked around using her real name. Blank stares. Nobody recognized it. But when I said Elaine Morrow, everyone smiled. Said she moved away years ago. Sweet girl. Everybody loved her. I did not stay long. That one sat with me for a while. The thing that gets under your skin is the idea that your identity is not something you own. It is something everyone around you agrees on. And if every single person in your life agrees you are someone else, what exactly is left of you? Just a voice, repeating a name that nobody hears. All right, the next story hits just as hard, so let us keep going. My smart lock has been logging door unlocks at 3:14 a.m. every night for the past 2 weeks. I live alone. This next one comes from r/nosleep, posted 5 days ago by a user called LockLogLady. It starts with something that should feel routine, just a quick check on a smart lock app. But what she found buried in that notification log kept me up the night I first read it. She opens by explaining how she ended up in this apartment, living alone with a brand new lock on the door. So I'm 27 female, and I moved into my apartment about 4 months ago after splitting with my ex. Rough breakup. The kind where you change every password, block every number, and start triple checking your locks at night. I bought a smart lock off Amazon, installed it myself, set a new code, and for the first time in months, I felt like I had control over something. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. I opened the app to check battery and noticed the unlock history. There were entries I didn't recognize. Door unlocked 3:14 a.m. Door locked 3:18 a.m. I scrolled down. Same thing the night before, and the night before that. 14 nights in a row, my front door was unlocking and relocking between 3:12 and 3:18 a.m. I never set any schedule. I sleep through the night every single night. I thought maybe it was a glitch, so I updated the firmware and changed the code. But it kept happening. So I bought a cheap security camera and stuck it in the hallway pointed right at the door. First night of footage, I almost threw up. At 3:14, the lock clicks. The door swings inward about 6 inches and just stays there. For nearly 4 minutes, nothing happens. Nobody walks in, nobody walks out. Then the door slowly drifts shut on its own and the lock clicks back. But here's the part that broke me. When I got up that morning, my shoes by the front door had been rearranged. 2 pairs completely swapped. I know exactly how I leave my shoes. Something was there, something looked in, and something touched my things. She left it right there for about a day before anyone even responded. Just that image sitting with the whole thread, an open door in the dark at 3 in the morning, and a pair of shoes that had no business being where they were. Trust me when I say this is only the beginning of what Lock Log Lady uncovered behind that door. Now this is where she starts pulling at the thread. She's got 2 weeks of logs sitting in that app, and she hasn't really looked at them yet. Not properly. That's about to change. I spent the whole next day going through the unlock logs. Every single entry, every timestamp. I started cross-referencing them against my calendar. The first unlock was March 7th. I broke up with Marcus on March 4th. 3 days. 3 days after the breakup, someone started opening my front door at 3 a.m. Marcus helped me install this lock. He set up the app on my phone, walked me through the settings, showed me how every feature worked. I changed the code again that night. Something completely random. Then I forced myself to stay awake. I sat in bed with the app open, screen brightness all the way down, watching the lock status. 250. 3. 308. Nothing. My eyes kept closing. At 3:14, the status flipped. Unlocked. New code, changed hours ago, and the lock just opened. I didn't hear a thing. No beep, no click, nothing from the hallway. I lay there frozen until it relocked 4 minutes later. Next morning, shoes moved again. Paired differently. Left boot next to right sneaker. I called the smart lock company. 40 minutes on hold. The tech ran diagnostics. No remote access, no scheduled automation, no second account linked. Then she said something that made my stomach drop. The unlock wasn't coming through the digital system. It was a physical key override. There's a backup cylinder underneath the keypad that I completely forgot existed. Someone has a physical key to my apartment, and they've been using it while I sleep. Let that sit for a second. She changed the code, watched the lock flip in real time on her screen, and none of it mattered, because it was never about the code. Not once. Someone out there has a real metal key, and they've been sliding it into a lock 3 inches from where she sleeps every single night. And she already has a pretty good idea who helped her install that cylinder in the first place. So at this point, OP is caught between knowing something is deeply wrong and having nothing solid to show for it. I told my friend Jess everything over coffee. She just stared at me. I said I wanted to call the police, but what would I even tell them? My door opens on camera and my shoes get moved? They'd think I was losing it. Jess said I should call anyway, but I kept going back and forth. That night, I slept with a kitchen knife under my pillow, and I hated myself for it. I went back through every single night of footage, frame by frame. Most of it was the same thing. Door opens, sits there, closes. But on night 9, I caught something. There's this faint shadow that falls across my hallway floor while the door is open. It stretches from outside the frame. Someone is standing right there in the doorway, just out of view. Not moving, just standing there, looking in. I moved the camera wider so the hallway entrance would be visible next time. Then I started checking everything in my apartment obsessively. Was that cabinet always cracked open? Did I leave my blanket folded like that? I couldn't tell anymore what was real and what was paranoia. So I made a decision. Tonight, I'm sleeping on the couch with the lights off and my phone propped up recording aimed right at the front door. If something comes through that door, I'm going to see it with my own eyes. The comments were not holding back on this one. The fact that your shoes were moved is what got me. That means whoever opened the door came inside far enough to touch your things. Please tell me you've called the police. This is textbook stalking escalation. First, it's just entering. Then it's touching things. Then it's leaving notes. The next step is not something you want to experience. Get out now. The door opening and nobody walking in on camera is the most terrifying part. They opened it, stood in the hallway, and just looked in. For 4 minutes. The camera only covers from the door inward, so I couldn't see anyone out in the hallway. But on 3 of the nights, the door just sits open for minutes. Nothing happens. Just open. I kept rewinding that footage over and over, and my hands would not stop shaking. 4 minutes is so long when you're watching a door hang open into your dark apartment. And that last part is what makes this next stretch so hard to sit through. Because OP is done waiting for answers. She is going to get them herself. OP went quiet for a couple of days after the trap night. Then she came back with an update post. I found out who it was, and I'm shaking as I type this. I wish I didn't have an update. I set the trap like I said I would. Couch, blanket pulled up to my chin, lights off, phone recording propped against a pillow on the coffee table. I lay there for hours trying not to move, fighting every urge to check my phone or roll over. At 3:14, the lock clicked. I heard it this time, actually heard it with my own ears for the first time. The door opened about 6 inches, same as the footage. Through my barely open eyes, I could see a hand reach through the gap, a man's hand, and I knew that hand. He placed something small and folded on the shoe rack, then slowly pulled back. The door closed. The lock clicked shut. I didn't move for 20 minutes. I was shaking so hard I thought the blanket would give me away. When I finally got up and unfolded the paper, it said, "You look peaceful when you sleep." Marcus's handwriting. My ex-boyfriend, Marcus. I called building management first thing. They confirmed Marcus had requested a copy of the physical backup key months ago, back when we were still together. When I changed the digital code after the breakup, nobody thought to rekey the physical backup cylinder. He had a working key this entire time. Every single night for 2 weeks, he let himself in, stood in my doorway, watched me sleep, and I never knew. That last line just sits with you. And the comment section felt it too. 2 weeks. 14 nights of someone standing in your doorway watching you sleep, and you had no idea. I genuinely feel sick reading this. What makes it worse is the smart lock was supposed to be the thing that made her safe. She installed it specifically because of the breakup. The tool she trusted to protect her was literally logging her stalker's visits, and she didn't know to check. Smart locks log everything. Pull the full CSV export from the app and hand it directly to law enforcement. That's time-stamped evidence of repeated unauthorized entry. That advice right there. Because those logs are not just a record, they are 14 timestamps proving he was there. And this story is not done yet. So here is where things landed for her. I filed the restraining order on a Monday. Brought everything. The smart lock logs, 2 weeks of camera footage, and that note in his handwriting. Marcus showed up to the hearing and tried to paint me as unstable. Said the breakup made me paranoid. Said I was making it all up for attention. But timestamps don't lie. 14 nights of 3:14 a.m. unlocks logged down to the second, and camera footage of a hand reaching through my door. His face, when the judge reviewed it all, was the first time I ever saw him look small. Building management rekeyed the entire lock assembly that same week. New deadbolt, no backup cylinder, no override key sitting in some maintenance filing cabinet. Police took the report seriously once they matched his hand on the footage to his build on the lease photo. The restraining order went through. He can't come within 500 feet of me or my building. I should feel safe now. I know that. The locks are changed. The law is on my side. But every single night, I wake up at 3:14 a.m. My eyes go straight to the door. I lie there in the dark, listening for a click that doesn't come anymore. The lock stays still. Nothing moves. But I am wide awake, staring, barely breathing, waiting. I haven't slept through the night since. One comment on this final post stuck with me. Please stay with a friend tonight. I'm not being dramatic. Someone who enters your apartment while you sleep and rearranges your belongings is not just breaking in. They're sending a message. And that is what I can't shake about this whole thing. He didn't take anything. He didn't hurt her. He just stood in her doorway at 3:14 in the morning and watched her sleep. That is what makes this story stay with you. The horror isn't the break-in. It is the intimacy of it. The feeling of being safe in your own bed, in your own home, completely gone. And here is something worth keeping in your head. Most people never think to rekey the physical backup cylinder when they change a digital code. That one detail gave him access the entire time. All right, let's move on. The next story is waiting, and trust me, it is just as unsettling. My ex, 27 male, and I, 24 female, broke up 5 months ago, but everyone in my life still thinks we're together, and I'm starting to lose my mind. This next one was posted to r/relationship advice about 6 days ago by a user called No Exit Mare. It reads like a standard post-breakup vin at first. It does not stay that way. Here's how she opens it. So I, 24 female, have been, or I guess was, in a relationship with my ex, 27 male, for 3 years. Things were good at first, or at least I thought they were. About 7 months ago, I started noticing stuff. He had my location shared to his phone without me setting that up. He'd casually mentioned places I'd been like it was just conversation. My friends told me he'd message them asking where I was if I didn't text back within an hour. He went through my phone. I found search history on my laptop that wasn't mine. He'd been reading my private messages to my best friend. When I told him it was over, I was clear. I said the words. I sent a long text the next day confirming everything so there was zero confusion. I asked him to move out. He said okay. And then he just didn't. He's still in the apartment. Still texting my mom good morning. Still telling people we're together. I've told my friends, my family, my coworkers, we broke up. Every single one of them says the same thing. Every couple goes through rough patches. I am not going through a rough patch. I ended this. Last week I sat my mother down and showed her the breakup texts. Timestamps, read receipts, everything. She went quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Sweetheart, you two had dinner at our house last Sunday. You were holding his hand." I was not at that dinner. I have no memory of it. I don't know what is happening to me. And that is where the post just drops you. No explanation, no soft landing, just a woman staring at a hole in her own timeline that somebody else apparently filled without her knowing. And trust me, this is only the beginning. So after that conversation with her mom, OP went home and did exactly what you or I would do. She picked up her phone. Because if she was really at that Sunday dinner, there had to be proof somewhere. She was not ready for what she found. I started going through my texts first. There were outgoing messages I never typed. Stuff to my mom like, "Can't wait for Sunday dinner," and "Tell Dad we are bringing wine." His mom, too, a whole thread about holiday plans I have never seen before. Then I checked my camera roll. There were photos from that exact Sunday. Me at my parents' dining table, smiling, holding his hand. I look happy and relaxed and completely normal, and I have absolutely no memory of any of it. I scrolled back further and found weeks of pictures and texts that felt like someone else's life playing out through my phone. So I confronted him. I sat him down and asked him what the fuck was going on. He got this concerned look on his face, said I had been under a lot of stress, maybe I should see a doctor, that he was genuinely worried about me. Like he was the loving partner and I was the one losing it. After that, I started paying closer attention. I noticed evenings where I would crash way too early and wake up groggy and confused. Mornings where my clothes were different from what I put on the night before. I found a half-empty bottle of something I did not recognize in the bathroom cabinet. No readable label. I know how this sounds. I feel insane even typing it. But I think he is drugging me. I called my best friend because I needed someone on the outside to tell me I was not crazy. She told me she saw me at a mutual friend's birthday party 2 weeks ago. Said I was chatting with everyone, seemed totally fine. I have absolutely no memory of going to that party. Just sit with that for a second. Her best friend watched her walk around a party, hold conversations, laugh with people, and OP has no memory of being there. None. That is when this story stops being about a breakup no one believes. Something is happening to her body while her mind is somewhere else entirely, and the person doing it is coming home every night, cooking dinner, asking about her day with a smile on his face. This is where her post shifts from unsettling to something else entirely. I took the bottle to a pharmacy near my work. Not our usual one. I didn't want Marcus knowing. The pharmacist looked at the pills, looked at me, and said it was a strong sedative. Zolpidem-based, but a higher dose than anything typically prescribed for sleep. Not prescribed to me. I have never had a prescription for anything stronger than ibuprofen. I stood in that pharmacy parking lot and cried for 40 minutes. But here is what is breaking me. I can't get anyone to take this seriously, because as far as everyone in my life is concerned, they just saw me, happy, laughing, holding his hand. My mom saw me at Sunday dinner 4 days ago. My best friend saw me at a birthday party. I am screaming that something is wrong, and the people I'm screaming to are looking at me like I'm the problem, because the version of me they saw yesterday was smiling. I bought a hidden camera off Amazon. It arrived 2 days ago. It is still in the box. I am terrified to install it, because if I see what I think I'm going to see, then my entire reality falls apart. And meanwhile, Marcus is downstairs right now making pasta and asking if I want garlic bread. He kissed my forehead this morning. He asked about my day. He is the most attentive, caring version of himself he has ever been. And I think that is the part that makes me want to throw up. Am I losing my mind? Is there any version of this where I'm the one who's wrong? The comments came in fast on this one. The fact that your mom saw you at dinner and you have zero memory of it is not a rough patch. That is a medical emergency. Have you been tested for anything in your system? I went to urgent care 2 weeks ago and they found traces of Zolpidem. The doctor asked if I had trouble sleeping, and I said no. He just looked at me. I don't have a prescription for anything. I showed Marcus the results, and he said I must have taken one of his sleeping pills by accident. He keeps them in a kitchen cabinet I never open. I checked. The bottle is almost empty, and it was full last month. This reads like a horror movie, but I've seen cases exactly like this. The scariest part isn't what he's doing. It's that your own family will fight you on it, because they think they've seen you being happy. And that comment right there is the thing that makes this story crawl under your skin. Because she's not fighting her ex, she's fighting every single person who loves her and thinks they already know the truth. OP came back a few days later with an update post, and this one hit different. I found the footage, and I need someone to believe me because my own family won't. I installed the camera in my bedroom like you all told me to. I wish I hadn't. The footage from last Thursday shows him coming into my room at 1 a.m. I'm asleep. He shakes me awake and I sit up, but my eyes are wrong. They're open, but there's nothing there. He dresses me, pulls a sweater over my head, puts shoes on my feet, and walks me out of the room with his arm around my waist like I'm drunk at a party. I'm smiling. I'm walking, but it's not me. The camera catches us coming back around 4 a.m. He undresses me, puts me back in bed, pulls the covers up. I look like a doll being put away. I showed the footage to my best friend. She watched the whole thing. Then she looked at me and said, "Honestly, you look way happier in person than you do in these weird texts you keep sending me." She asked if I was okay. She didn't see what I see. To her, the girl on camera looks normal. The girl sitting in front of her right now, shaking, crying, begging someone to believe her, that's the one acting strange. I have video proof that my ex, 27 male, has been drugging me and puppeting my body through my own life, and my best friend watched it and told me I seemed fine. The comments under the update were shaking. I work in DV advocacy. This pattern, where the abuser maintains the relationship through everyone around the victim, is rarer than people think, but it happens. Please call the hotline in my DM. Everyone in the comments telling her to just leave doesn't understand that he has her entire support network convinced she's fine. Who does she go to? He's already there. This is exactly the point. He didn't just refuse to leave the apartment, he refused to leave her life. He embedded himself so deep into her network that she's the outsider now. Her own reality is the minority opinion. That's not a clingy ex. That's someone who understands how to make a person disappear while they're still standing right there. OP came back one last time with another update post. I found the footage, and I need someone to believe me, because my own family won't. I'm safe. I need to say that first because I don't know when I'll be able to post again. I called the domestic violence hotline 3 days after my last update. They believed me. They didn't ask me if I was sure. They didn't suggest therapy. They just said, "We are getting you out." Within 48 hours, I was in another state with nothing but a bag and my laptop. Before I left, I tried filing a police report. I sat in that station for 2 hours explaining everything. I showed them the camera footage. I showed them the sedatives. And then his lawyer arrived with character witnesses. My own parents. My mother sat there and told the officers that our relationship was loving and that I had been struggling with mental health issues. The cops looked at me like I was the unstable one, like I was the crazy ex making things up. So I stopped talking and I left. I'm in a new state now. New phone, new number. I gave it to absolutely nobody. Not my parents, not my friends, no one. 2 days ago, my phone rang. I picked up, and it was him. He said, "Hey babe, just checking in on you." I never gave him this number. I have no idea how he found it. If this account goes dark, just know that I tried to get someone to believe me. And then, nothing. The account went dark. I have been refreshing her profile every single day for 3 weeks now. Nothing new. No updates, no replies, zero activity anywhere. I really hope she made it out. Think about that for a second. Your own body out there, living a life your mind never agreed to. Every single person you love and trust, choosing to believe the version of you that smiles on command over the one that is screaming for help right in front of them. This is the kind of story that stays with you long after you put your phone down. And that is the last story for today.